right. Hello and good evening. The Planning Commission meeting of May 1st, 2024 is called to order. The Planning Commission meeting is being broadcasted live on Glendale TV, viewable on Spectrum Cable, Channel 6, and AT&T UVerse Channel 99. Meetings are also streamed live in high definition on the city's website, glendaleca.gov/live, on youtube.com/myglendale, and on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire devices using a free app called Cablecast and choosing Glendale TV from the menu. Meetings are also archived on the city's website for viewing anytime at glendaleca.gov/agendas. For public comments and questions during the meeting, please call 818-937-8100. City staff will be submitting the questions and comments in real time to the appropriate person. Current Planning Commission agendas are available by visiting our website at www.glendaleca.gov. Can we have the roll call, please?
Sure. Commissioner Charakhchian.
Here.
Commissioner Fuentes.
Here.
Commissioner Lee.
Here.
Commissioner Manassian is absent, and Chair Shabazian.
Here. And can we have the reports regarding posting of the agenda, please?
The agenda for the May 1st, 2024 regular meeting of the Glendale Planning Commission was posted on April 24th, 2024 on the bulletin board outside of City Hall.
Thank you. Next item, approval of minutes from March 6, 2024, and then also March 17. So let's do the March 6th first. We have a motion.
So moved.
Do we need a second?
I'm not sure if I was here on March 6.
Yeah, I don't think you need.
Okay.
March 6th was the joint meeting that you had with the sustainability.
All right.
I believe you were, Commissioner Fuentes. I think you were there.
I wasn't there.
You weren't there. Okay, well,
What, do you need a second for the minutes? Or-
I think that's fine.
All right. And then April 17, 2024?
So moved.
Thank you. Oral communication. I don't see any cards, but I see few people in the audience. Does anyone have an oral communication that you guys want to submit a card for? No? Okay, thank you. The boards and commission members' comments, do any of the commissioners have any comments that would like to share? I see no. And then we go to old business. We have 2 items on the agenda. And what I'm going to do, and this is because, I'm sorry, all business, nothing on the agenda. Under new business, we have 2 items on the agenda. And I'm going to move the items on the agenda, if that's okay, and go to item number B first, and then we'll move to item number A. And then on item number B, under new business, item 4444, Lowell Avenue, PVAR 0018802023. This item is being asked to be continued to the May 15, 2024 Planning Commission meeting. And I believe we will need to do a roll call for that, correct?
I don't, okay, yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, to clarify, staff would like to continue the item to May 15, 2024 without further public notice.
Thank you. Let's do a roll call, please. Yes, sir.
I'm just a visitor now,
Okay.
if that's all right.
That's okay, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you. Can we please have a roll call? Thank you.
Sure. Commission Member Charakhchian,
Yes.
Commission Member Fuentes,
Yes.
Commission Member Lee,
Aye.
and Chair Shabazian.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is item 610 West Broadway, PTT MCP 2005724. And can we have the presentation for this item, please? Thank you.
Sure. Let me. All right, good evening, Madam Chair and members of the Planning Commission. The item before you this evening is a time extension of tentative track map 83052. The project is located at 610 West Broadway. on an approximately 14,000 square foot lot. The subject site is located in the SFMU, the commercial/residential mixed-use zone. The original request to subdivide a development into 28 commercial condominium units was approved by you all on February 17th, 2021, and expired on February 17th of this year. The applicant submitted a 2-year time extension request in January of this year to request what is before you tonight. Staff supports the request for time extension because the findings made by the Planning Commission in its February 2021 meeting remain applicable today, and the conditions in the neighborhood of the project site really have not changed significantly to warrant reconsideration of the original approval. Approval of the map was consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the general plan. The proposed development is currently in the finishing stages of construction, and the applicant is finalizing the conditions of approval and scheduling the final map for recordation. Let me just go over with you a quick PowerPoint presentation. The site is highlighted in red. It's on the south side of Broadway, just west of Kenilworth Avenue. Again, it's approximately 14,000 square foot site. This was the tentative map that you all approved 3+ years ago. This is the front elevation, just for your reference, maybe memory as well. The front elevation facing Broadway. And then just a summary of findings made by you all 3 years ago are still applicable today. The conditions in the neighborhood really haven't changed. The approval of the map is consistent with the general plan. And just as a summary, construction is finishing and finalizing the conditions of approval. So that concludes my presentation. The applicant is here. If you have any questions, and that's it.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions from staff? I don't see any cards. Do we have anyone on the phone for this item?
Let me check.
Thank you.
We have no callers.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions from the applicant at this time? No questions. Public hearing is closed. Any thoughts, motions?
I move to approve time extension for tentative subdivision map number PTT MCP 2005724.
Thank you.
I'll
Do we have a-
second it.
Thank you. Can we have the roll call, please?
Sure. A motion was made to approve the extension request. This will be a roll call. Commission Member Lee.
Aye.
Commission Member Fuentes.
Aye.
Commission Member Tarachian.
Yes.
And then Chair Shabazian.
Yes.
Great, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank
Motion
you.
carries 4-0.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is Community Development Department updates.
We do have an update from our long-range planning team. They've got a presentation, so I'm going to step up there and take some notes and turn it over to them.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey. Hello.
Madam Chair, Planning Commissioners, it's a pleasure to be here before you. We, the Long Range Planning Division, my name is Vilia Zamataitis. I'm the Deputy Director of Long Range Planning now. We have Teresa Santolina also with us as the Senior Planner for the Long Range Planning section. And we thought it best to give you an overview of what we are working on in terms of long-range plans and what you will be seeing in the not-too-distant future for review. And with that, Let's see, does it? Okay. And apologies, I think we're gonna have to manually change it. So, whoop, and apologies, we are. Okay, there we go. Okay, great. Okay, the Long Range Planning Division is very, very busy. We have a number of zoning projects, general plan land use, general plan element updates, and one project also that is keeping us very interested and ongoing, it would be the Verdugo Wash project. So with that, in terms of zoning, I'm just going to quickly run through it. We will be going into detail for each of these various projects and items. First off, the Tropico Transit Oriented Development District, which actually the Planning Commission reviewed prior to going to City Council last year. We're also working on the multifamily new zoning updates and objective design standards, which we call for short the MF project, and also the residential and mixed use residential zoning and objective design standards in commercial zones, which in this case we're calling the MU project. We'll also go into a number of elements that are currently being updated, this is just a short list. And then again, we are also working on the Verdugo Wash project, which actually had an RFP. The deadline was just this week, and we'll be proceeding with a master plan for the Verdugo Wash. So with that said, first up, Tropico, the Tropico Transit Oriented Development project. It is the city's first transit-oriented development district, which is basically a high-density, mixed-use, very pedestrian-oriented district that includes the city's first set of objective design standards. These would be measurable, quantifiable design standards geared towards development. The project also included a general plan land use map update, new zoning, which corresponds to a zoning map update, and it was adopted by City Council last year in September and presented to the Planning Commission for recommendation prior to City Council adoption. So the set of standards are graphically oriented. They included a number of diagrams, which is a departure from our typical zoning standards, which are very narrative, wordy. This one included graphics. It included new concepts that relate to building setbacks at grade. There was a definite focus on pedestrian-oriented public realm standards. There was a new publicly accessible open space, which is something that is existing for the DSP, for the downtown specific plan projects, but is not traditionally applied in any other type of residential, commercial, mixed-use zoning, but now we have a publicly accessible open space standards for the transit-oriented district. Another change was to allow at-grade residential parking, which is a change from the required subterranean and semi-subterranean parking standards in residential projects, and that alley access be required anytime that there's a project that's abutting an alley. So you'll note that the diagrams on the right-hand side are ones that are included in the new zoning section and chapter. The TOD zoning also included new massing and scale standards as part of the objective design standards. These relate to modulation of height, which corresponds to an upper floor step back. It included vertical modulation and horizontal modulation standards, diagrams that you see to the left, or I should say to the right, which is the tripartite type of design standards, and then modulation across horizontal facades. So again, these are new concepts that are included as part of the transit-oriented development district for the TOD zoning, but you will see some of these new concepts in the upcoming multifamily and mixed-use standards as well. So, which is segueing now to the MF project and the mixed-use project. Again, the MF project solely relates to zoning amendments and objective design standards in the existing GMC in our Glendale Municipal Code, Chapter 30.11 in the residential zoning standards. So, and then the mixed-use project, which refers to the residential and residential mixed-use amendments in commercial zones. Those would be specifically geared toward eliminating the R1250 standard, which right now in all commercial zones, residential is permitted, but it has to comply with the R1250, the high-density residential standards. And we have been shown time and time again, those standards that are geared toward residential neighborhoods are not conducive to mixed-use development and residential development along commercial thoroughfares. So with that, we also include objective design standards. So just to give you a brief overview, the multifamily residential zoning is highlighted in this amber gold color. So you'll note that it essentially goes against the major thoroughfares and commercial corridors, which are outlined in red, and those would be the commercial zoning districts where the MU project would apply. We've had some quite a bit of actually activity recently, both bringing the multifamily project before City Council in November, going back to the Design Review Board in February. We had a meeting with local architects to review the objective design standards as well in February, and we went back to City Council just recently. I wanted to say this month, but it wasn't last month. It was the beginning of last month in April to request additional direction on certain components of the development standards. Same thing with these two projects are rather aligned. We have the multifamily and residential mixed-use standards, the MU project in commercial zones. It too went to City Council in February. We received direction to proceed. Based on the feedback that we had in April on the multifamily project, because some of these same concepts straddle both projects, we then received additional feedback from council that we applied to the mixed-use project in relation to materials, colors, roofs, and whatnot. And we are going to the Design Review Board next Thursday for their presentation of just the MU project. So we've had a number of public outreach meetings. We've also spoken to various homeowners groups, and we are anticipating additional public outreach as well as we continue to finalize these two ordinances for presentation back to you, hopefully at the beginning of June or middle of June. So we will be presenting both of these in great detail early summer. Last but not least, general plan elements. Now, the general plan is the overarching umbrella. It's the framework for the city's vision in a variety of topical elements in this case. The state requires certain elements as part of every city's general plan. Those are the ones that are highlighted with an asterisk. So these are required by the state. The city, Glendale that is, has a few additional elements that are not required, but that are part of the Glendale's general plan, which includes community facilities, historic preservation, and a separate recreation element. So we actually have a webpage. And so this webpage, which we'd like to call everyone's attention to, is www.glendaleplan.com. This is the website that was created by our previous consultant, or I should say our current consultant, that did the housing element. It actually highlights all of the elements within the general plan and specifically details the timelines and any updates for the elements that are being currently underway for updates. With that, I would like to turn this presentation over to Teresa to continue detailing the updates for the specific elements.
Thank you, Vilia, and good evening to commissioners. It's nice to be with you this evening. So one of the other long-range planning projects that we can check off of our list is our housing element update. The housing element is a section of the city's general plan that deals with the housing needs and conditions in the city. It identifies goals, policies, and programs that the city uses to direct and guide actions regarding housing. The housing element is the only element of the general plan that's required to be updated every 8 years on a consistent cycle. We're now currently in the 6th cycle of our housing element. The 6th cycle did bring about a change in the way that the state was reviewing these elements with an increased focus on how these elements were going to produce housing. This is a change that affected the entire state of California. This more rigorous review by the state did extend our original timeline, but we ultimately did get our planning element, our housing element adopted and certified by the state. It was certified by the Department of Housing and Community Development in February of 2023. And so with the housing element completed, we can now move on to some of our other general plan updates that need some attention, and we have several. We are currently in the process of updating our land use element, our mobility element, and our safety element. Our open space and conservation element and our recreation element are about to have an RFP issued to hire a consultant for updates, and we are actually in the process of creating a brand new element of the general plan. This would be our environmental justice element. So first, taking a look at our land use element. The land use element is a long-range plan for the city. It identifies the distribution of land, so residential, commercial, industrial, open space. Those are all identified within the land use element. The land use element, it's also essential that it coordinate and work well with all of the other general plan elements. So the goals, policies, and actions that are included within the land use element can really help to improve public health, reduce infrastructure costs, enhance local economies, and address long-term environmental issues. Though our land use element has not been comprehensively updated since 1986, it has been updated in bits and pieces with other projects, and certain neighborhoods have been incorporated, such as the Downtown Specific Plan and the North Glendale Community Plan. The current update is going to streamline policy direction, make sure all of those updates are coordinating nicely, and we are anticipating that it will be adopted in 2025. Next, we have our mobility element. This is being updated concurrently with the land use element. The mobility element used to be known as the circulation element. When it was last comprehensively updated in 1998, the focus on the circulation element was really about traffic and vehicular movement throughout the city. However, since then, a number of mobility issues have been brought to light, and so we are now changing the focus a little bit to focus on multimodal transportation, making sure active transportation options are considered within the city, and creating links with transit and vehicles and pedestrians to make sure that the whole system is working well together. That's why we're now calling this our mobility element. The mobility element is anticipated to be adopted in 2025, and our consultant for both land use and mobility is De Novo Planning Group. We are also in the midst of updating our safety element, which was last updated in 2003. The safety element is really seeking to identify risks within the city. Now in Southern California, we could have risks that range from earthquakes to fires to dangerous animals in the hillside. Recently, the state has also changed what needs to be included within the safety element. And so to be in line with those state laws, we now are also looking at climate change mitigation and risks related to flooding and wildfire. Two other projects that you can see are kind of tied in with the safety element is the CAP. This is our Climate Adaptation Action Plan, and LHMP, Local Hazard Mitigation Planning. So we're looking at a wide range of hazardous situations and how we can reduce those risks and mitigate those risks to our residents here in Glendale. Because of the wide range of topics that the safety element is covering, we're also working closely with our fire department and our Office of Sustainability. We're working with Rincon Consultants on all 3 of these projects, and we're anticipating that the updated safety element will be adopted in 2025. Next, we have our open space and conservation element and our recreation elements. Now, at one time, these were actually all included in one element, but in the 1990s, they were separated into 2, open space and conservation, and then recreation. They currently stand as 2 separate elements, but they work very closely together. Open space and conservation coordinates the planning and management of natural resources and also improvements that complement those natural resources. It provides a broad overview of existing conditions, issues, and opportunities, whereas the recreation element addresses planning for parks, recreational land, and associated improvements. It provides an overview of the existing recreational conditions and identifies opportunities for more recreation resources in the city. So these 2 elements are going to be updated concurrently. We will be issuing a request, actually, our city's Community Services and Parks Department will be issuing a request for proposal within the next several months. It's anticipated that this project will take approximately 2 years before adoption. And finally, our brand new element, environmental justice. In California, there's new state legislation that requires that cities address topics of environmental justice within their general plans. And so our new environmental justice element are going to focus on communities within Glendale that may have a disproportionate burden when it comes to environmental hazards. So maybe you live close to a freeway and you have additional air pollution. It's also going to look at things like proximity to park space, proximity to healthy food options, and it's going to try and create policies that are going to invite people into the decision-making process in the city of Glendale. We currently have a survey available on our website. Here is the link, and here we have a QR code that you can just scan that will take you right to the survey. We're hoping to get lots of Glendale residents to participate and take the survey, and so I'll leave that up for just a minute, but that concludes our updates, and once again, the Planning Commission is going to have an opportunity to review each of these projects as they go through, but we're happy to answer any questions at this time.
Can you go one page back? I was typing thank you, the link.
There you go.
And with that, if any of our commissioners have any questions from our staff,
I have a question.
please go ahead.
This is, I was just curious, when you're developing like the plans for tropical area, I know you're developing it. Is there anybody who might be interested, or is there any kind of like, entity, developer waiting in the wings that you communicate with to maybe, big developer that might affect, or you might be able to kind of tailor plans, or do you just put the plans out and then invite the developers to come? I'm just curious.
Of course. Commissioner Lee, Planning Commissioners, actually the Tropico, the TOD zoning came about as part of the Tropico Center plan that was adopted by the City Council back in 2018. The Tropico Center plan was the result of a grant by Metro that proceeded, with transit-oriented development. It was an overarching, it was a neighborhood level plan that provided direction, but it did not include zoning. And so when the City Council adopted the Tropico Center plan during the South Glendale Community Plan hearings back in 2018, City Council directed staff to implement the zoning. So we were essentially implementing the policy direction of the Tropico Center plan into zoning. So we were sort of given already essentially direction of what the zoning standards would be. Now, the objective design standards, however, that was additional on top of which we worked with the Crandall Arambula, the consultant on staff, to create the objective design standards. There are several project sites that developers reached out to us to say, oh, what is the future zoning? What is the future density going to be? But we did not tailor the actual zoning standards based on the interest. We essentially created the zoning to implement the Tropico Center plan. However, there was quite a bit of opportunity because of its proximity to the transit center to incentivize higher density, because essentially a transit-oriented development district includes higher densities, it includes mixed uses, it includes pedestrian-oriented type of public right-of-way improvements. And so all of that was part and parcel with the project. And because we have a number of parcels that are rather large in the general location, there is opportunity on those parcels to create larger mixed-use projects and fulfill the intention of this particular TOD zoning.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Yeah. On those elements where you mentioned public outreach and background research, spring and summer of 2024, can you give us an idea what kind of public outreach and how's the reception?
Sure. So actually, the city did host a booth at Earth Day that was geared towards getting some engagement in our safety element and also in our environmental justice element. And if you missed our Earth Day event, don't worry. We're going to have a booth at our Fire Service Day on May 11th, again, to look at those two elements. Now, what we're hoping to have residents engage in some activities that'll help us gauge what their thoughts are about what local hazards are within the city, and also what areas of the city may be subject to those undue environmental burdens. The other mobility, land use, those elements are going to have an outreach campaign kickoff. There will most likely be some workshops and focus group type of meetings so that we can get plenty of resident participation. And we're hoping to have all of that kick off within this summer as well.
How would you notify the community?
We're going, so if you visit our GlendalePlan.com website, there is a specific link there that's going to show any of the up and coming community outreach events. We also are going to utilize our public meetings, such as this forum, to be able to post on agendas. We can also provide updates on the regular general city's website as well. We also are looking into the possibility of having printed flyers to post in our community centers and libraries and places like that so that people are more aware of these workshops and outreach activities.
I get like a regular email from Glendale Water and Power, how I'm using my electricity this week or past week, and that's another good way to do it.
Thank you for the suggestion.
Commissioner, do you have any questions?
And just to bring your attention to the screen, to the TV screen, we actually have the Glendale Plan website up, and you'll notice here at the very top, highlighted, if you enter your first name, your last name, and your email, and to hit the submit, this will then put you on our mailing list for all future upcoming notifications. We also have a section down here which says what is new, and it includes, as you see, attend a safety element pop-up event. If you click this link, it brings you to the safety element pop-up events. Take the environmental justice survey. If you click on the web link, it'll bring you to the survey. You can fill out the survey at that location. And view updated housing element. Again, so this new, what's new will be regularly updated to identify what type of public outreach events are scheduled and how the public can participate in each of these public outreach events.
What I'm looking for is, not everyone is familiar with the website. How are we going to get them to go to the website? Or how are we going to let them know that this website exists and they can go and get information there?
So this website, we anticipate to be using Instagram, the city's Instagram page, also the community development, the CDD Instagram page. We are looking into, and we'll be working with the experts, the public outreach experts for both of these two consultants, and so they themselves are gearing up to provide that public outreach campaign, as Teresa mentioned. So we realize that not everyone is technically savvy. And so we will have to make sure that we are able to reach
out.
that particular population that probably prefers face-to-face. And, there will be face-to-face opportunities, like I said, in pop-ups. And how do we attract individuals to actually participate in the public outreach that might not want to actually be part of an online survey or whatnot. So, but yes,
Okay.
thank you for
Thank you.
making sure that is covered as a part of the public outreach campaign.
Commissioner Lee, I think you had a question.
Yeah, Madam Chair. I know you mentioned that sustainability. I know, and we, City of Glendale has now the commission on sustainability. So under which plan or element would that be covered?
So the Office of Sustainability is working with the Planning Department and with the Fire Department with regards to the safety element. And so the safety element is also part and parcel. We're working with the Climate Action Adaptation Plan and then the Local Hazard Mitigation Plan. So this is an interdepartmental effort to update the safety element. Now, these would be the updates required based on recent state legislation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? I am extremely excited to see this. It's been a while coming, and I'm glad we finally got the grants and the funding to do this. So very excited. I know it's going to be a fun and challenging few years for the planning department. Good luck. We're here if you guys need us. I do have a recommendation for public outreach. I heard Commissioner Fuentes. I don't know if this is possible. I don't know if we could use our Beeline services for advertisement. I know I've seen advertisement there, but I don't know how normally the city utilizes that. We have used it in Pasadena, but it could be a different way to approach. Also, looking at just bus stations. If if we have ad locations on the bus stations, if we can purchase ad in Americana and places like that where we can display some of the meetings for people that might not be tech savvy, not have Instagram. But in a public place where it could be displayed, I think that might be, worth trying. And then also, I'm sure our public outreach consultants are going to look into this, but possibly looking into presenting in Spanish, Armenian, or any other languages that, other folks that might have difficulty with English can understand. The project and what's going on. But I'm sure you guys are ahead of this. And again, I know there's a lot going on. This is just a little, snip you guys showed us, but excited for all of this to come this way. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And yes, and actually the suggestions are great. And just to let the public know, those that are watching, we do have the environmental justice survey that is available online. We'll bring up the link as well. That is currently available in Armenian and Spanish. And so I know that we have a number of public outreach campaigns that involve multiple languages, and I believe Korean as well. So yes, point well made. We are very excited because this is really a prime opportunity for the staff to make sure that all of the general plan elements are consistent and compatible with one another. And it's just a phenomenal time to be working on all of these updates, and especially especially also on the zoning updates for multifamily, both in residential and in commercial zones, because we really think that this effort is going to streamline development. It's going to make it much more transparent and easier to have individuals know exactly the type of the type of architecture we're trying to achieve, to maximize the densities that are permitted by right, whether it's permitted by right or with a density bonus. And so we're trying to, also address the housing shortages as well with these streamlining efforts. So they're exciting times. We're going to be very busy, but we're really looking forward to this, and we're especially looking forward to the public participation, because this is our city, and we're hoping that individuals, take the time out to whether it's answering a survey or participating in a public meeting or providing their feedback at a pop-up booth. This is a public process, and this is what it's all about. It's planning for the betterment of the future, since these documents are long-range plans. This is what it's going to shape our city for the next 20 to 30 years. So we really encourage everyone to participate. So,
Great job.
and we're looking forward to the Planning Commission's input as well. So,
Thank you
very
again.
much
Thank
for
you.
having us.
Thanks for the presentation. I guess there are no other questions. With that, the next item on the agenda is adjournment. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Thank you, and have a good evening, everyone. Meeting is
Congratulations,
adjourned.
Deputy Director.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Exciting.